Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and welcome back to Talking Town, the show created for fans by fans. Don't forget, this is a show that wants your opinions. So wherever you're feeling after yesterday's 1-1 draw, let me know in the comments, as some of you are already doing so. And if you're watching on Catch Up FTA, comment for that algorithm. And remember, if you like your town news, views, fan reaction, debate, and more, and you'll get plenty of that right here in the next 40 to 60 minutes, then as I always say, hit that subscribe button, and why not? It's free, helps us to grow, and you never miss a show. Joining me this evening as we break down yesterday's 1-1 draw is the media mogul himself, Matthew Phillips. Some say, word on the street is that he hasn't left this studio since Sunday evening.
He's sat here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great stuff last night, by the way, Matt. Absolutely excellent. Thank you for filling in for me. And of course, the peaky one, the groundhopper himself, Mark Tuxford, out on his travels in the last 7 to 10 days, taking in the sights of the 3 stands and the car park. Don't forget the car park.
Yeah, you can't forget the car park. Oxford's renowned for its car park, so
it is. It certainly is. Before we get in full flow, this show is proud to be partnered with Match Bingo. Remember the word town, all in caps, and Stowmarket Osteopaths, but more on those later on, because I'm thoroughly excited to announce to all our current members, if you haven't checked your YouTube posts or your Ko-Fi dashboard, that our new merch store is now live. You can get early access if you're a member. Head on over. You get 15% off for the first month. Go and check it out. Matt is sporting one of our lovely designs there. Go on. What you got? Oh, and a mug as well. And a mug. I'll raise you a mug and I'll see you another one. Look at that. Well, I can't even turn it around the right way. Look, I'm that excited. But yeah, go and check it out. I designed with you, the Talking Town community in mind. So again, thank you so much for the support you show me every single day, every single show. Appreciate it. It really, honestly is. Anyway, right. Last night was frustrating, for a word, all in caps, to steal the Match Bingo town, all in caps. It was a 1-1 draw with Watford, where for me, lads, only one team was ever looking like it was going to win it, and that was Town for me in that second half particularly. But in the end, neither team won it. Chances came, chances went, and there's a fair bit to discuss. We've got some voice messages coming up. We've got our likes and dislikes from last night. We've got the live chat, who will hopefully bring some really good opinions and debate to the show. But we'll kick things off, as we always do, with our Town in 60 seconds. This is the podcast version of the voice messages. Talking to yourself in the shower or screaming from the terraces. I'll start with you, Mr. Tuxford. 60 seconds will be on the clock, and I want to hear your Town plea. I want to hear your praise, your questions, your rants, your thoughts, all things ITFC. If we kick things off tonight, tactics, fans, players, refs. You can sing and dance, although I'm not quite sure you'll be doing that this week.
He's got to do that in 60 seconds.
He's got to do all that in
10 minutes.
You can do a lot in 60 seconds. But it's yours. Away you go, sir.
Yeah, well, I think I'd start off with the question of how long did it take for Nunes to come on for me? A lot of people thought that he should have started, me included in that. But the tempo of it was so slow. It was just pedestrian, and I feel like there was certainly chances we had. Taylor, Nunes, to name a few, obviously as on as well, and it just wasn't going in. And I think we probably could have played another half an hour, and it still wouldn't have gone in. And it frustrates me a little bit that they have one shot on goal and it goes in. It's kind of how it felt. And then, Walton wasn't really troubled otherwise. So a frustrating evening, really. And I hope we can be better at Swansea at the weekend. But it needs to be quicker, in my opinion.
Yeah, Luke sort of agrees with you there. Says disappointed to come away with a point, but we need to start being not so wasteful. Watford had one real chance and scored. Keep spurning chances galore. More comments coming in terms of Nunez. As Mark said, he just cannot help but tinker. And he also says, to be blunt, the 2 points lost is on McKenna. Wide drop, Nunez and Taylor. It was 75 minutes from memory, Tux, when Nunez came on. Because I remember looking at the scoreboard and thinking, this is ridiculous. 75.
It was later. I think it was about 79, 80, mine. I think.
I mean,
we'll just give him 10 minutes.
Yeah. Plus, of course, they had 7 stoppage, but you may know that at that point, but you may not. And it's
the thing I don't understand about it is that, modern day football is full of kind of squad rotation. And I just don't know why there needs to be actually that much rotation when you think about it, because we're coming towards what is going to be an international break coming up very soon.
Preach, come on! I want to hear this because I agree with it.
Why can't they play another couple of games in a week? You know, they're sporting athletes at the end of the day, and you have 5 substitutions that you're going to bring on in a game anyway. So
that you use every week as well.
Yeah, and for me, I don't understand why certain players have to be sort of rotated in that sense. But then you look at players like O'Shea. I know Davis wasn't playing, but he is normally the first name on the team sheet.
Yeah.
You know, Matissa as well. All 3 of those, if they haven't got injuries or suspensions, they are playing 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So what is the difference in, say, a Nunes? Why can't he play 3 games in a week? Why, if anything, why can't Karius play three times in a week? But someone like Taylor, who has sort of come in and out of the cold, he needs consistency. He needs games to build his confidence further. And you look at teams like Coventry, where I know they had to make changes the other week, but they are going with more of a settled side. And I know every club does it to a certain degree, but I know this is Premier League as well. But look at Arsenal. They're not changing their team week in, week out because they have consistency there. They're only doing it because they have to have injuries or whatever it might be. But it's that consistency for me that's lacking.
Yeah, obviously the games in the Premier League are more stretched along. And Matt, we'll come to your town in 60 now. But before we do, Mike says, evening all. Didn't think we played too bad last night. Just lacked that little quality and composure to open them up. We got sucked into playing their style second half. Move on and go again. The 60 seconds are on the clock. If you are ready, give us everything, right? As a seasoned podcaster, what have you got? Well, yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm a hype man, right? I'm available for hire. It's all you. Go.
I just see my thoughts off the back of last night. Obviously, we did the show last night with Steve B and Steve Thompson. But
excellent it was as well.
When we got promoted, or the season we got promoted, it felt like to me there was something going on at Portman Road. There was this kind of tidal wave of momentum out of League One. And suddenly you were sort of soaring through the Championship, and we only lost 1 home game all season to Leeds. That back and forth game, when it 4-3 or whatever it was. I'm getting the same vibe, but the fact that we're not going to get near the top 2 this season, and we're so close to it, because if you look at some of the stats I was looking at there, we're second to Coventry, who are top of the table, obviously, in a lot of stats. XG, shots on target per match. Big chances. Unfortunately, big chances missed is where we are out on our own. It's 30 with Birmingham second with 25. So we're very close to Coventry, who are running away with the title right now. In how we're playing, we're just not clinical enough. This is the issue.
And on that statistic, which obviously tells its own story, that chance that when we're leading by almost a country mile. You saw a little bit perhaps that evidence yesterday. Azon came off the bench. Is our lack of investment in the striker? And I know the striker doesn't get the 20 goals in the McKenna system, but are we missing what I would call a number 1 striker? Like last year you had the Lap. He was by far your number 1. Hurst was your number 2.
Yeah,
exactly. Come on in relief. Yeah, exactly. You've got Azon, who's raw. Hurst isn't really, for me at the moment, a number 1, although we were singing his praises only on Sunday after 2 goals. Are we missing that bit of quality?
Yeah, we've said it. We've said it all. We've said it since the Lap left. We've not replaced the Lap, and you've asked for reasons unknown. McKenna has tried to replace a £30 million striker with George Hurst, who's always played kind of second fiddle, and was part of that League One to Premier League journey. So his starting place with us was in League One, and Azon, who, if rumour was to believe, didn't pass the medical to begin with, and they've had to go back a second time to actually get him in. And then you've got Akpom, who isn't particularly firing in the 10 role, who had a very good shot last night. So no one's particularly firing. I mean, to be fair to George, he has got 5 goals.
Yep.
Philogene obviously now top scorer with 6. So actually Hurst is scoring, albeit, a couple of pens thrown in there as well. But it's not Delap levels.
No.
And that's a huge miss for us. Delap would have scored those 2 goals last night that Ivan had. And we would have been sat here tonight going, oh, well, we won 3-1 and we're on the periphery of the playoffs, or we're breaking into the top 2. That's what's missing, which is why we're sitting in 10th and why Coventry are top. They're clinical. We're not. We're clinical in dispatches, aren't we? Like we saw at Loftus Road. That was a performance that surprised everybody. But last night, you know, it felt like after the mayor's show.
So
you know.
this is where I sort of disagree with the narrative of Hurst not being the number one striker. You know, you look at the back end of last season, everyone was crying for him to start games because, you know, we
Not
thought
me,
that was
but
going to
yes,
go.
people were.
But there was
yeah.
a lot of people were. And yeah, he's not been 100% at it this year. But I mean, a lot of that is on the 10 for me. You know, the players behind George Hurst. So, you know, you've had Schmodix play there, you've had Akpom play there. Neither of them have worked. Neither of them have. And that's not down to fitness or anything like that. It's just because they're a completely different 10 for what Chaplin was. You know, you look at all the 10s that we've had previously, they've been able to pass a ball, they've been able to thread a ball. In this team, that's what a 10 should do. That's why Nunes works in the 10. So was there a coincidence there, you know, last week when we beat QPR 4-1, where Nunes was playing in the 10 and obviously Hurst was up top? Okay, you know, Nunes wasn't assisting him as such. You know, he got his goals from elsewhere, and obviously Nunes got goals from free kicks. But ultimately, Nunes suits that style of play more for me, and that's where Hurst can thrive off that. That's why Chaplin and Hurst had such a good partnership. You know, you think about those days in League One and the early Championship sort of side as well. So that's where it sort of falls down for me. It's that 10 position. It's the weakest part of our team by an absolute country mile.
No, I would agree with that. But also in the QPR win, Tux, Eagley played such a key role, didn't he? The goals came, you know, both Hurst's goals came from Eagley runs on the right and excellent crosses. Look, Clark put in a really good cross for Ivan last night. It was actually quite a good save by that Selvik, wasn't it? But yeah, I do agree with you to some extent. But Hurst thrives on decent crosses. I think we're second in the table for crosses per game as well, probably to Coventry, without looking at it. You know, we played to Hurst's strengths there, didn't we, against QPR? He's good in the air. Scores 2 decent headers, but I don't know. It was just few and far between last night.
Yeah, Mike says near that goal poacher, the fox in the box. Johnny on the spot. Mabby says you can't buy a quality striker in the Championship that can hold their own in the Premier League, so we need to develop one, which is a fair point. Absolutely.
I mean, that's a good point, isn't it? Everyone's saying, well, we'll go out and get a striker in January. Who's going to be hitting the ground running for us in January to hopefully break us into the top 6 or the top 2, wherever we might be? Because anyone who's is decent, he's going to be playing week in, week out, or coming off the bench in the Premier League, whatever, and quite integral to that. So it's going to have to be someone who's not really in the mix. I mean, we speak about Keith Moore all the time, don't we? He was on the periphery at Bournemouth, wasn't he? Made a few sub appearances here and then. Was able to drop down because he's a good player. You know, Welsh international, played at tournaments. Was able to drop down and hit the ground running, as Steve Thompson rightly said on his debut, his second debut. Scores 2 goals, doesn't he? At Preston, albeit in the 3-2 defeat. But that's a tough ask, I think. I mean, you'd have to go out and we keep going talk about Latte Lath, who we've been linked with in 2 windows. Maybe he would be able to come in that particular window. But they're few and far between those players, I think.
Or you look to the continent on players that are perhaps a year, 18 months away from being Premier League ready. You know, because everyone's got statistics and dashboards and projections, and perhaps that's where you go and attack that market where you know that player is not quite ready, but he's going to be ready.
Who was the kid from Chelsea they wanted? He ended up going to Sunderland. He was there for 5 minutes, wasn't he? And then he come back again.
Got injured, yeah.
But again, he was raw, wasn't he? He was only 18 or something, 18, 19.
Well, ironically, what I would say is we do actually have a top Championship striker in the building, and it isn't George Hurst and it isn't Azon. It's Akpom.
Arguably so, yeah. And actually, Akpom, which may surprise some of our viewers and listeners, is actually one of my likes from last night. When we get to our likes and dislikes, it's actually one of my likes. But let's do the flashpoints right now. Don't forget the flashpoints are brought to you in association with Match Bingo. Remember the word town all in caps, because we have partnered with Match Bingo to give you a deposit bonus. Match Bingo combines the excitement of live sport with the thrill of bingo. Your card has 15 random events from a live football match, and you watch them get marked off as the game unfolds. You must be 18 or over. Terms and conditions apply. And now you can get a 100% deposit bonus using the word town, all in caps. The deposit minimum is £10, and while it's bonus cash and can't be withdrawn, the winnings can be. So get that 100% deposit bonus using the word town, all in caps, and combine the excitement of live sport with the thrill of bingo. Terms and conditions apply. Over 18s only. Please gamble responsibly. Visit begambleaware.org for more information. Right, let's start with the goal for them first, because that's the first flashpoint, if you like. A break down the right, falls nicely in the box for a player who I thought was arguably Watford's best player. Really tidy on the ball, good movement all night, nice finish. Defending midfield, where's the breakdown? How's that? Because someone in our comments, Matt, from the show yesterday said about Christian Walton being a bit stranded for the first. Talk to me about that first goal, because what's gone wrong? Because that shouldn't be happening, an unmarked player in the 18-yard box.
Well, it's the well, yeah, exactly. I mean, we were a little bit unlucky in that Mark Bowler, who used to be at Arsenal. I think he was at Borough as well. He puts the cross in, doesn't he? He gets lucky on the deflection with O'Shea. Comes off O'Shea's leg or backside or wherever it was, and it falls beautifully for loser. He's anything but a loser. I mean, he's an excellent player, and we did kind of name check him, didn't we, in one of the shows last week? I mean, everything goes through him, doesn't it? I mean, he's a CDM. Seems to be an attacking midfielder. Seems to sort of just have a bit of a free reign in that side as captain, and he leads their assists, he gets their goals, he takes the set pieces. So all roads lead through him. You wanted to sign him, didn't you?
I do want to sign him. Yeah. I think he's a brilliant player.
Some people said that it was Walton's fault, like he tripped over or whatever, but the deflection wrong-footed him a little bit. But really, they shouldn't have had the ball on that left channel to begin with. I mean, Barr puts it through, Matasiwa and Furlong. Easy little threaded ball through back heel, actually. Taking the piece, wasn't he? It was back heel through the two. And Bowler runs in the left-hand side of the box and, he gets that deflection. But again, it was like the goals we've been conceding this season. You don't have to try too hard against Town to score. We saw it against Charlton. We saw it against Middlesbrough away. Whenever that ball falls in and around the centre of the box, around the penalty spot, and it's just blue shirt standing there, you know they're going to score.
I've lost count the amount of times that we've played a team like Watford, no disrespect to them, but haven't really offered a great deal going forward.
Yeah.
But they'll have one opportunity and score. I've probably the last 2 or 3 years, I've lost count the amount of times that's happened. And it's just so frustrating. I just don't understand how these teams come to Portman Road. They get one opportunity to score.
I want to. It hurts me to say it because father was a Watford fan, but I think all respect to Watford. It was a great.
Yeah, I thought they defended very well. Yeah,
in terms of away performance, it's up there. You get the goal when you get your one chance. You resolute defending. You walk away with a point in a game where.
We played them at a funny time, didn't we? They've just beaten Middlesbrough 3-0, and beaten quite handily, actually. A team that beat us handily at the Riverside. And of course, Gracia's come back in, one of their most successful of the 17 managers they've had in 10 years, as we worked out last night. Took them to a cup final. So someone who's managed in the Premier League, I think. So we're playing them at a funny time again. But again, I agree with Tux. You don't have to try too hard against Town to score. Whereupon we have to seem to have, we had 5 big chances last night. I missed 4 of them.
Yeah. Before I ask Dux on O'Shea and Kipre as a partnership, because obviously O'Shea had that block in the first goal. But before I do, in terms of that ball falling into the 18-yard box, do you feel like, as some are suggesting in the live chat, that Kayu's got to do a little bit more there, Matt? That Kayu's his positioning is perhaps wrong or whatever?
Well,
do you put anything on that?
I mean, look, the ball that plays it into his path is lucky. It's got a deflection. It's come off O'Shea. That was lucky. It could easily have gone out for a corner or gone into Walton's hands or whatever. But look, you've got, as we've said on, the QPR goal on Saturday, that was a poor goal to give away. A keeper's only sometimes as good as his defence, and we were statues there. The deviation of the ball off the deflection, it hasn't helped anyone particularly. But I do agree, the defenders a unit, and teams do seem to score from pretty innocuous situations against us, is my take.
Yeah, and Tuck's a player that's obviously had a fair bit of criticism in the early part of this season, ranging from his captaincy to his play and whatever. He's obviously Dara O'Shea, and Kipre's been in and out of the side. This is his second start next to O'Shea in both games, so he kept his place. And Jacob Greaves didn't come in like many, perhaps on the match preview, were suggesting he could. How did you see those two as a partnership? But most of all, Dara O'Shea, who, as I say, has had his critics in this early part of the season. I thought he played fairly well yesterday, to be fair to Dara.
I think the partnership is I much prefer it from an O'Shea Greaves partnership. I think Kipre is a lot stronger. I think one of sort of Greaves' weaknesses, I don't think he's always as strong. Obviously he's aerially good, but I think Kipre offers a little bit more. Obviously the balance isn't always there because he's not naturally left-footed, and I think that showed a little bit obviously with Johnson at left back last night. But he's obviously set up Philogene for the goal. So you know, he wants to go forward as well. So I like him as a player, and he's one of them for me that has to be a kind of a natural starter for me moving forward. To your point about O'Shea, yeah, I think, you know, as a captain of our team, you know, you are going to be the person or the player that people look upon when, you know, results aren't really particularly going your way, and you have to stand up and sort of fight that, I suppose. But I think he's nowhere near captain level like Morsey was, obviously. But I think we probably lack quite a few natural leaders in our team at the moment. And I don't think O'Shea always has he's not had his best games. I mean, obviously Charlton, he was awful. But last night he was okay. It's just, I think some of the time the crowd get on his back is when he makes some stray passes. And he does do that quite a bit in this team. And, you know, the way that we like to play out of the back, you're going to have a mistake here and there. But it always seems to be that O'Shea is giving away the ball a lot. But what I have noticed is that he doesn't put his foot in. He almost invites pressure from a forward player. And that's it showed that immensely against Charlton. But he was doing that a little bit last night. And for me, sometimes you do really just have to sort of attack the player, but also, you know, from a goal side point of view. But yeah, generally, you know, I think he's one that would, I think, again benefit from consistency. I'm very big on partnerships.
Agreed.
Partnerships in certain areas of the field, centre half, you know,
Agreed.
two CDMs, you know, a 10 and a striker. You need the spine of your team to be really on it. And for me, I think O'Shea would benefit with having Kipri alongside him, and knowing he's going to have Kipri alongside him. Really,
I totally agree. Totally agree about partnerships and spine of the team. Go on, Matt.
I was going to just say, looking at O'Shea's stats last night, the McKenna system exposes centre backs with the ball, doesn't it? Because like I think one of the other games, Kipre had the most. I think West Bromwich Albion, Kipre had the most passes in the game last night. O'Shea had the most passes in the game. And it exposes them to some degree because, you know, they're not as good at the ball with their feet as like a Matasiwa or a Cahuste. So you are going to get those errors. So it's a bit of a vicious circle, really. You're asking the most passes out of the game to come from two centre halves that would rather get the ball up in and through the thirds. To be fair to O'Shea, he also won the most duels last night. But Kipre's passing at the start of the game was bloody woeful. It was like Enciano all over again. That pass to Johnson on your side, Martin. About 10 yards in with him, wasn't it?
He had a 5-minute period where I thought, oh no, is this Middlesbrough?
Yeah, exactly that. But then, as Tux rightly says, he has got very good feet, Kipre. We've mentioned it on here before. The pass through was Nunes levels for Philogene to score. Really good pass.
And which is, of course, our second flashpoint. Town get back in the game, 1-1. Jaden Philogene, the goal scorer. Matt, you mentioned the pass. Tux has mentioned the pass. The finish is also quite good. Question marks on the goalkeeping for me for Watford, but I'm nitpicking.
He could have done better, really. Because Philogene kind of hits it at him, doesn't he?
He hits it at him. He doesn't narrow the angle whatsoever, but we'll take it anyway, anyhow. How good, and we'll come to the rather passionate conversation between Philogene and Matasiwa shortly. But how was Jaden Philogene's performance for you yesterday? Because I've often said he's our best player at the moment, by and far our best player.
I mean, there was mixed reviews on Philogene on the show last night. I mean, I thought he got. I'm looking at FootMob here right now. He's got 7.5 out of 10. So he's had a pretty decent game according to them. I mean, look, as soon as you put the ball on a platter for him, like Kipre did, you knew that was going in. It was almost like the Watford defence just stopped. But it's 1-1 now. Like a training ground goal, wasn't it? It was a really good finish, and that gives him 6 for the season. So that's great. I think the writing was on the wall for Philogene a little bit after the Matasiwa spat. He was going to get subbed, and on comes Clark, you know. But I mean, he played well, Philogene. But you knew he was going to score that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need that level of being clinical from George Hurst, from Ivan, from Eagly, you know, Akpom, Tux, you rightly say. It's only Philogene that you'd put money on thinking he's going to score there. Everyone else is kind of letting us down in those key areas. And obviously what was Nunes' 2 goals against QPR? 2 free kicks. It's a free kick expert. I mean, look, we could have done with him within 2 minutes of the game last night. Free kick on the edge of the box, wasn't it? Which Philogene stuck into the stand. It was tailor-made for Nunes. And we tongue in cheek said Sunday, "Oh, but Nunes don't play on the Watford game." And lo and behold, he doesn't. Very, very strange. But Philogene's the only one I think you can really kind of be banking on to be scoring goals, which is why he's the top scorer. Everyone else is a little bit hit and miss. I mean, we're still waiting for Ivan to get off the mark. We're still waiting for Akpom to get off the mark.
And I think, Tux, Jaden Philogene is by far the biggest example of a football player winning the trust and the belief back of a fan base by doing basically his job on the football field. Because if I'd said to both of you and the live chat in the summer, give me 2 Town players you absolutely trust to get you a goal played through 1-on-1, 1-0 down, Jaden Philogene would not have been on many Town fans' top 2, top 3 lists in the summer. By doing his job, by performing at the highest level, he is now, as Matt has basically just said there, but without saying the word, earned the trust of the Town fan base, and that belief is played through, and you expected it to be a goal because he's earned it. And I think he's the biggest example of a player performing at the high level and winning back that belief and that trust. And I can't speak highly enough of Jaden Philogene. And I thought yesterday goal was good. He had some nice moments as well. Am I right when I say he's earned that belief and trust back?
Well, yeah, I think he's definitely earned it. I think what helps him is that he's now playing on the left, where certainly last season he was more on the right. He's a type of player where I wouldn't say that his crossing end product is the best. I think mainly because he does have the tendency to probably do a bit too much before crossing the ball. But what he does give you is obviously, a shot outside the box. And for me, yes, he has earned it, but I think he's just playing in his right position finally, to be honest.
And to tack onto what you say there, because I think you're right, playing on the left is really helping him. And thanks to all of our members who support this platform and allow us to grow and believe in what we do. And hopefully I've got some new content coming out soon, which may feature a little bit on this. But that's in part thanks to you, the YouTube members and the Ko-Fi members. So thank you very much for your support. And if you want to be one, hit the join button, head to our Ko-Fi site, sign up. You get Discord, merch, discounts, and more content. One of which is a little bit of what you say there, Tux, is I think tactical. And when I say that, as I saw it again yesterday with Ben Johnson, immediately when we have the ball, he is no longer looking to go on the overlap. He's looking to go on the underlap. He is joining in with George Hurst, and almost at times yesterday in that first half, particularly, we were playing a front 3. And I think what they're doing there is very simple. You are isolating Jaden Philogene on the byline, 1v1 with a fullback, where he can take him left, he can take him right, he can go inside. Because I think once you get space around Jaden Philogene, Matt, and you get him isolated with a fullback, good things happen. And I really like that tactical tweak that has come into the Town game this season that McKenna has brought in, because it's unleashed Jaden. It's given him a whole new life as that left winger that we didn't know we had in the summer.
Well, he's filling the gap of Hutchinson, isn't he? It's that kind of sort of cutting in and across the box and hitting the shot, which we saw so much from Amari in the promotion season, didn't we? Like the 2 whole goals, for example, that time.
It's so evident that the left back is now going so into the centre forward position. So the left back, or right back in this case, has to come with them. That then isolates Jaden in so much space, and we've seen it. We've bought the feet, space and grass to go into. He's a dangerous prospect.
I mean, you saw Johnson doing that last night, didn't you? I mean, no one's better at doing that than Leif Davies, because he's got the speed to get up there and to get back again as well. That's the question mark for me over Johnson. I mean, they said they subbed him last night because he was exhausted, but I think there's always probably been a question mark maybe around his fitness. And then we saw Greaves come on. I'm sure we'll come to that again. It's interesting you say that, Mike, because you're talking about 2 players that you think 1-on-1 with the keeper, you would put your money on, Philogene being one. I can't actually think of who the second player would be right now. It's certainly ain't going to be Ivan, is it? As much as I love his energy, effort, and his commitment, I mean, he gives you 100% in all of those things. He's not scoring.
Well, I'd say the second one is Jack Clark, isn't it? But he's on the bench, and you're not going to play both of them probably. So
no, exactly. And we'll come to the subs. We'll come to Jack Clark and all of those things as we go through the course of the show. And thanks for being with us and choosing Talking Town. Hit the subscribe button. The animated conversation, as I'll call it, between Matasiwa and Jaden Philogene, which for those in the stadium and perhaps for those at home watching as well, seemingly came out of nowhere, seemingly just blew up out of nothing. Everything was fine 1 minute, and then suddenly there's Jaden and Matty were exchanging, we'll call them frank views on the football field, to the point where after the game and they're doing the walk round, they're still exchanging, I think, frank and forthright opinions. What there's been lots of conversation, lots of different thoughts and opinions on it. Where are both of you and the live chat watching, and those on catch up, of course, on it? Because personally, you don't want it in a public space like that. You prefer those things to be behind closed doors, but they go on. You're never going to get 22, 25 professional football players that do not have a crossword against each other for the whole season. That just isn't going to happen. Go to a Sunday morning team and find out just how quickly you can get some conversations going when things don't go to plan. I quite like it. I am all for it. It's accountability, it's desire, it's professionalism, perhaps not the argument in public bit, but it's demanding the best. That's the words I'm looking for of each other, and not accepting anything less than your teammate is capable of. But again, you don't want it in a public sphere. Matt, Tux, I'll start with you, Matt. Where are you on this conversation?
I was surprised by it, because I think we just won a goal. I think Watford were looking for a corner. We got a goal kick, which probably should have been a corner. And then suddenly those two were sort of going at it, which was surprising to me, because if you watch the Philogene goal, I'm pretty certain Matty was the first one to come over to him and just give him, a little high five and a bit of a bump with the shoulder and all that kind of thing. I mean, there's a few of the guys here saying that Matty had the ump with him because he'd been looking for a foul and had stayed down and hadn't tracked back. I mean, that's where you're kind of getting a Morsey level of emotion and passion from Matasiwa a little bit, aren't you? I mean, he wears the number 5, plays a similar role. He probably thought he was letting the side down in terms of looking for a free kick rather than tracking back at 1-1, and let him know. It wasn't good that it carried on after the game. You got McKenna being all school teacherly and going, stop it, having to wag his finger. And they don't want that kind of dirty washing in public, do they? Because it's all about the group and we're all winning this together. And, that's the kind of the Ashton propaganda that you get throughout the season. Look, as you rightly say, Martin, you've got a squad of players there. They're professional sportsmen. They want to win. They're competitive. Passion's right high. You get this in training all the time. You see it all the time. It's just rare that you get it in front of the fans. But it has happened before. Look, it weren't Bowyer versus Dyer at St James's Park with him years ago, was it? You know what I mean? So at least it shows you, like people sometimes go, oh, well, the players don't care. That showed you that they do care. Yeah,
and this is where our shows aren't scripted, because that's where I misspoke there. Obviously, it was not professional. I will just reiterate, it wasn't exactly what I'd call professionalism, arguing in front of each other, with each other in front of 30,000 people. That's not quite what I meant. But it does show they care, as Matt said, as David says in the chat, as Paul says in the chat, both our YouTube members. Example says he should be captain. Matasiwa, I think he means Matasiwa. Could mean Philogene, either one. Mitchell Tamboy could mean, but I think he's going towards Matasiwa. I think he's early in the chat. Where are you on it, Tux?
I'm not actually that bothered by it, if I'm honest. I mean, I think if you used to speak to any player that's ever played the game, whether they're ex-pros, current pros, they'll say that, there's always been sort of crosswords here and there, especially on the training field and stuff like that. Dirty tackles going in, whatever else, and people rise to it. But on the football pitch on a Saturday or Tuesday, whenever it might be, I think Matt was spot on in that Ashton has this propaganda of that it's about the group, it's about positivity, we're all in it together, and I think that doesn't always that example there doesn't paint that narrative very well. But yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, I agree. I think it shows a bit of passion. I think it sort of shows that, it's not perfect. We all know it's not perfect, but I suppose you don't expect your own two players to be having crosswords, fighting, if you use that term of phrase. But, I think at one point I did think it would be another sort of Bowyer Dyer sort of situation maybe. But, I think I'm not that fussed by it. I don't think it will be the last time we ever see it. So. Yeah.
No,
we've said it before, Martin. I mean, I wrongly said it was at the Valley last night, but it was Johnson and Midfield at the Hawthorns when I think Johnson missed a real guilty chance and they went at it. It was at the Valley in the game after that when Midfield scored a free kick and you saw, I think Midfield gave Jono a kiss on the cheek and they'd made up. I'm sure you'll get some kind of unity thing like that in the next game or whatever. I'm sure we'll see that.
Do you know what? I think some of it as well, why I don't mind it, is that, like, if anything, that community is there within that group of players. You can say that to your fellow pro. I wouldn't want it to be where they feel they
An
couldn't say
honesty,
something.
yeah, a
Yeah,
real trust and honesty
yeah,
with each other. That you can hold that level of
yeah,
accountability. No, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. Sorry to cut across you there, Tux. And you say it won't be the last time we see it. Well, I think it will be, or I certainly hope it will, because you don't want it in
yeah.
in a
Yeah,
in a
I
public
think that,
sphere.
I think it's one of these where, if they've had today off, they'll go into training tomorrow, and they'll have a normal debrief about the game. But I think he'll probably pull both of them aside and just say, look, I can't accept that on the pitch. Obviously, we're trying to build something here, blah blah. Can't be doing that in front of the fans. So obviously there'll be words had about it, and I don't think will happen anytime soon. But it's football, I like it in a way because it's a bit of an old-fashioned sort of way of football where I think the likes of Roy Keane used to do it to his players and things like that, and that sort of stuff goes out of football now because it's too nice in a way, I suppose. But yeah,
Well, it's taken away from the paying viewing
yeah,
eyes, isn't it? It's
yeah,
all behind closed doors. It's all when you're sat there with a cup of coffee the next day, going over the game film, and you're talking about the game, and then you say, "Why didn't you do this?" And then there's crosswords perhaps come
yeah,
up, and because you're never going to get a single, 52 calendar year where where you do not have crosswords with each other. You don't do it at work, when you're in any job, particularly I think in football, where you've been told from such a young age, you've got to be the best
yeah,
right winger, the
yeah,
best left winger, the best holding midfield player. You've got to be the best in your age group. You've got to be the best to go step further and step further and step further. It's ingrained in you to be the best and demand the best. And they're not here for the project. They're here because it's a good opportunity to play for a
yeah, of course,
fantastic football club
yeah,
that is going to be, hopefully, you would have thought, going back to the Premier League,
yeah,
back to the elite level.
yeah.
You want to hold each other to a high standard. And I agree with you in the terms of the trust. I do agree with that. The last flashpoint, obviously, was, well, you can choose any number of the chances, but I'm going to go with crumbs. Okay, which one I'm going to go with? I'm going to go with Nunez. No, I'm going to go with Azon's header. I'm going to go with Azon's header, and we'll come to Nunez's.
Which one?
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think. How do I break this into one?
Is either of the Azon headers though as worse as the Nunez one? Because I feel like the Nunez one and one of Azon's headers were probably equally the worst.
They're all up there, aren't they? I mean, you could.
Well, it's just, for me, it was just literally just tap it in and it's a goal. Like, Nunez blazes it over the bar. Azon, I don't know how he's not scored. So yeah,
let's go to Azon then, because obviously lots of people have been discussing Azon in terms of perhaps he should be starting in front of George Hurst or etc. He's got a great opportunity yesterday, Tux, to get his town account up and running, and it doesn't happen for him. And they're the sort of things that are going to cost you, not potentially cost you promotion, but come May, you're going to look back on and go, that's 2 points you drop there. Do you think?
Well, yeah. If it comes down to 3 points, yeah, obviously you do look at these types of games and think, oh well, if we'd have scored there, then it's all ifs and buts, though, isn't it? I mean, you can't put money on that. But I suppose the point being is that Azon, for me, isn't ahead of George Hurst. I can't really put my finger on why, but I think it's just more that I think it's more consistency and continuity. Players playing with fellow players that are in the team a lot, I think. And I think, if you put in your strongest 11 out, I don't think Azon gets in there for me at the moment. But what I would say is Azon has been incredibly unlucky not to score for me. I mean, he should have scored last night, probably twice. Hit the post against Norwich. He's had a couple of other chances. So really and truly speaking, as a striker, he should be at least on 2 for me from Azon with his chances currently. But I think, I don't know. It's a weird one. It's a weird signing for me, to be honest with you, because we were linked with him. He didn't come. We were back in for him, signed. Doesn't feel like he's going to ever be number one, so to speak. He felt like more of a sort of Al Hamidi replacement for me. And Al Hamidi was never going to be number one either. So is he really challenging George Hurst? Yes and no, I suppose.
Yeah, Rob says one word to take away from the match is composure. Nunez and Azon needed that last night in front of goal. And Matt, right, my mate Mark Hudson, set piece specialist at Portman Road. His eyes must have been lighting up because the corner ball comes flying in. And he's thinking, yes, this routine has worked a treat. We've attacked it. It's knocked down. And then there's Nunez coming in. And he has sprung Nunez free in the box. The set-piece routine off the whiteboard, onto the grass. They've done it to a T. This is it. My statistics are going to go up one more. From Saturday, I got 2. Tonight, I'm going to get 1 more. He can't be thinking anything but happy, happy thoughts. And then Nunez absolutely... Well, to be frank, instead of hitting the target, he hits it into Lee Anderson's head in the north stand upper. It's shocking.
It was O'Shea at the far post who heads it back across, doesn't he? I think Nunez, but it must have caught him by surprise. He obviously wasn't expecting that.
He wasn't expecting it. It's bounced about 4 times.
Yeah, but he sort of just flashes at it, doesn't he? Like you say, he goes up into the. It's
hitting Lee Anderson above the scoreboard. Come on, let's be honest.
Someone lost their cup of tea when it went flying. Yeah,
I was quite close to it. I think because I stand probably about 12, 14 rows back from that, and I don't know how he's not scored that. I really don't. Like, it's one of them where if he doesn't try and pelt it and just literally just try and place it, he scores it.
I think Josh Russell in our Discord was behind that and put a video in the Discord showing you what a glaring miss it was. I mean, the irony on the Evan chances are that George Hurst, who scores 2 good headers at Loftus Road on Saturday, probably would have stuck them away, given how clinical he was in the air against QPR. And you get 2 gilt-edged chances for Evan. Great crosses in the box. Eagly for the first and Jack Clark for the second. I think George probably would have, even I'm being critical of him, I think he probably would have tucked them away. But, I mean, one was a good save, one was a glaring miss, right?
What I would say on the other misses was obviously Jack Taylor. He was another one where it came to him. He had so much time and almost leaned back too much, and then it went over the bar. But again, if you just put a foot through it,
outside his foot, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but yeah, you mentioned Ngelly there, and it's just reminded me because I thought he had another good game for me, and I was
he one of your likes?
He was actually, because I didn't think he was going to start tonight with all this rotation rumours going around.
Agree.
I thought maybe McAteer might start or something stupid like that. And I was pleased to see him start last night. And I think again he's another one who just needs consistency in games, and he does get in his strongest 11 at the moment. So for me, just play him, give him the opportunity. He is raw, but you're only going to get better with games. So, and the good thing about it at the moment that I've seen recently is that his crossing is pinpoint. It's very, very good. And the thing with it, because obviously he's not a traditional sort of right winger in the sense that he's right-footed. He's cuts in on his left, but puts a ball in. And this is what Philogene doesn't always do. And Clark, to be fair, they do too much before they get to the byline, and it's almost you can't cross the ball, and then it goes back to a left back and almost goes back to O'Shea sometimes. Whereas Ngelly, if you notice, just gets the ball in. Yeah,
he's a wonderful player. He can take a fullback both directions, but can put that cross into the box. And so many chances, frustrating night in front of goal. But I sit on here every week and I hammer our set piece specialist, and I criticise, have done for the last 18 months. And I just felt that was his Jose Mourinho moment there, Matt, where he was going to cup his ears to the gov. He was going to find me in the cobbled and go, what do you think of that set piece routine? 3 in 2 games. And Nunez, if he'd tripped over and fallen into it, he might have knocked it into the net. It looked easier to score than it did to miss. And I'm sitting here today and I sit back and I'm scratching my head thinking, how have we not? How?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Where we talk about Nunez, why he didn't start the game, why he only gets 10 minutes plus injury time. As we rightly said, we started off very quickly last night, as we did at QPR. Get a corner within 30 seconds. Within 2 minutes, we've got a free kick. The man you want to take the free kick sitting on the bench. I don't see why you have such a specialist player who can. He's just proved it with 2 chances away from home at Rangers. He's not there.
No,
he could easily have repeated what he did at QPR and curled that in, and within 2 minutes we're 1 up.
And the thing is, players like that, though, but players like that though, they often get deemed to be a luxury player because they're just good at free kicks. A bit like Ward-Prowse. I think a lot of people think he's a bit of a luxury player just because he's good at set pieces. Doesn't always mean that he's affecting the team as such. And I don't think Nunes is that. Like, for me, he's our best 10 at the moment, so he should be starting, but he also offers that sort of set piece value as well.
Put through
But
balls in, as you've
yeah,
seen.
exactly. And that's what a
When
10 should be doing. That's what a 10 should be
yeah,
doing is trying to feed Hurst, trying to feed the wide players. And you see every time that he's come on in the 10 against West Brom and last night as well, the game has that lift. And he is that type of player that will give you a lift, but it's him doing it. He's pulling the strings.
yeah,
And I just feel that at the moment McKenna's trying to force a situation that just isn't going to work, and that's with Aquam at the moment. And I can't. I'm so baffled that a player of his level in the Championship last time scored so many goals, goes to Ajax and almost wants to reinvent himself as a number 10 when he's not a number 10. It baffles me.
The thing I always have caution with is when we look at players and say, "Oh, he scored all those goals for Borough," or etc. What sort of team was he playing in for Middlesbrough that season? You know, and are we replicating how they played with how we played to suit what perhaps he needs to get going and find opportunities? Because I thought yesterday he was one of my likes, Jibber Akram. I thought he was strong on the ball. I think when he gets a goal, he'll be up and running. Had a couple of opportunities. I think he forced a save from the goalkeeper for one. It was nowhere near.
Was he man of the match though, Gov? Was he man of the match?
He wasn't my man of the match, no.
That was
and when
laughable when
I
that
was
came on.
leaving the when it came over the tannoy, I was literally walking past some complete random man that I've never seen before in my life and never will probably see again. And we both just looked at each other. Otherwise, did they say Akpom? What?
Yeah.
No, but he was one of my likes. I think once he gets a goal, he'll be up and running. But I do agree with both of you in when you can say as many nice things as you want about Jens Kajust, but he's one of my dislikes, which we'll come to in a moment. But one of the things you probably won't say about Jens Kajust is how much of an expansive passing range he's got, or how he makes things, how he dictates play with his ability on the ball in terms of passing. Matasiwa, absolutely our best midfield player. But again, one of the things you probably won't say about him when you say about the nice things he can do in the game is his expansive passing range. Yes, he looks to play forward, but it isn't what I would call thread the needle. It's like, making things tick. So when you don't have a midfield player that's got that ability on the ball, which Nunez brings, you really are missing out there, Matt, because you've got a 10 who perhaps thrives on somebody behind him who can thread the ball and make things tick. And we just don't have it without Nunez. And that's why he's so important in that 10, because he makes it tick. His ability on the ball is the best we've got.
Yeah, well, that's what was missing in the Premier League campaign with the Morsey, Kuste, throwing Calvin.
Yeah.
That creativity last season, which is why I was surprised everyone was so intent on seeing Kuste come back. I didn't think he did too badly last time. I mean, that lovely nutmeg and shot he had, he was very unlucky there. And he does run at this level. Remember, this is a level below what we saw of him last season. And he's an international player for Sweden. He does break away with the ball. He does read the game well. He breaks away nicely. We've seen a little pirouette in the turn, and he puts defenses on their back foot. But as you rightly say, the passing range of a Nunez, it's not there. It's always going to be a simple pass left or right, isn't it? That's probably the issue, really. Look, Nunez seems to be the answer to all of our positional problems we've got here. We'll stick him in centrally. We'll stick him in at the 10. You're going to lose Matasiwa. He's going to play CDM, isn't he? I mean, that's how good he is, actually. He can play all those and give you the set piece threat that you want as well. But at the end of the day, though, last night, I don't think the reason we got a draw was because of the midfield. It was the fact we can't, as Crunch said to me, we can't finish our dinner in front of goal.
No, that is very true. And look, what I don't particularly like, or didn't particularly like last night in terms of Kajus Tux, is he's a wonderful player and he does wonderful things, but it's not consistent. It's a 10-minute, 15-minute burst every 25, 30 minutes. And which I think is why you see a noticeable difference when Taylor plays, because Taylor is high work rate, covers every blade of grass from the minute he comes on to the minute he goes off, be it whatever minute he comes on, whatever minute he goes off. Whereas Kajus, for 10, 15 minutes, looks the best player on the park. And then he sort of, you don't notice him as much for a period. Then he comes back into it. It's those waves of being the best on the park. And then we need Kajus on the ball where is he sort of thing.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think from what I've seen of him, I'm not going to include last season, but what I've seen of this season so far is that he's a very good player. Someone said to me last night behind me, he said they've got lovely feet, but lazy feet. And I think what he meant by that was that he does have a good work ethic, but I think a lot of the time it's quite mismatched. He doesn't always know what position he needs to be in. And I think he gets a bit confused sometimes and almost blows as well. I don't know what his sort of real 100% match fitness is at the moment. Just sort of seems to me that why he's having that sort of good 15 minutes, goes missing, and then has another good 15 minutes is because maybe the fitness isn't always there. For me, I think he was a panic signing. I think after the Hackney business all falling through, we then go and sign Karius. And for me, if you're that desperate to get him, that deal gets done earlier for me.
Okay. No. Rob says Karius, luxury player for me, lacks assistant goals. Look at losing midfield for Watford, 4 goals in 4 games, and dictates play.
They only paid about 9 million for him from Nantes about 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, wonder what he'd be worth now. I mean, he as I said earlier, all roads through him, isn't it? Everything.
Yeah,
but I say all that though, Gov, and I think that all these roads do lead back to the 10. And I think if you look at Karius when he's played, he's either had a Shimodix in front of him and Akpom in front of him. He's got to essentially try and set them up or receive the ball from them as well. And they're not giving him that for me, whereas Núñez will. So, honestly, that 10 position is the weakest by a mile. And if you're not going to start Núñez there, you might as well be playing with 10 men for me at the moment.
Fair enough. No, many in the live chat and watching on catch up will agree with you.
Are you bringing Chappers back then, Tux?
Yeah, I thought it was a mistake to let him go. If I'm honest with you, I mean, you look at it, it's a huge mistake in the sense that Shimodix and Akpom are injured or have been injured. Yeah. You can't tell me that he wouldn't get back in that team now.
I like Connor Chaplin. He's a good player, but it's just the myth of Connor Chaplin grows every time Town don't win a game. And Town clearly didn't win a game.
It's a classic, though, isn't it? It's a classic. The one player you don't have. Oh, we wish we had him, and we would have won the game. Of course it is, but Chaplin knows how McKenna wants to play. For me,
and you nailed that earlier in the show when you said many wanted George Hurst to start last year. That shows you exactly you're better out of the team than you are in it. Because this time, last year people were saying we should start George Hurst over Liam Delap. Now people are saying we've not replaced Delap. Well, no, we replaced him with the guy that you will.
But Chaplin does so many things. As we said before, Chaplin does so many things so well. And obviously they've moved him on to Pompey where he's playing out of position. I mean, Colin's saying not even getting inside, but I think he's been playing on the right side of a free over there. So he's out of position at Fratton Park. But I just, it's not like he wasn't scoring goals for Town at this level, right? You're not bringing it, right, we've got to sacrifice someone to bring Akpom in who's got 30 goals 2 years ago in a Borough shirt. Who did we get rid of? Oh, Chaplin. He doesn't really score at this level. He scored 13 goals. He was our joint top scorer in the promotion campaign with Broadhead. Also jettisoned out.
That one to me annoys me more, but there we go. Right, we've got a few minutes left. We've got voice messages coming up. We've got 2 this week. Guys, girls, get your voice messages in. It's free. You don't have to leave your name or any details. Just get your Town opinions into the free service before, during, or after the game. Even non-game days. So tomorrow, for example, you wake up and think, I wanted to say Tux up on his point about Karius, or I disagree with Matt on, well, everything, let's be honest, everything.
Surely not.
Leave the voice messages. We'll play them in a second. Rob says, agree with Tux. Number 10 is definitely a problem area for us. Let's finish on some likes and dislikes. You've already heard 2. We've already heard 2 from me, 1 like and 1 dislike. Matt, have you got any likes or dislikes from yesterday we've not covered?
Well, very quick one. I mean, there's a shared one with you, and we mentioned it on the show last night. Of course, was Greaves coming back in as the cover at left back, position he played in the Premier League. I thought he was very good at going forward. And you mentioned the Taylor chance, Tux. I mean, it was his little run combining with Clark, wasn't it? Gets to the byline, the long legs, stretches it out, that tees up Taylor. I think if Davis isn't going to make it for the Swansea game, and if it's touch and go, I mean, McKenna kind of alluded to that Davis might return. If he doesn't, then I would be very keen to see Greaves there. I think he offers more going forward than what Johnson does for me. And of course, played in that. He's played there before for Hull City and played in the Premier League for us pretty well, I thought, at the tail end of the season last year in that role.
Yeah, I don't think it's a stretch, as it Tux, to say Jacob Greaves has arguably played his best football for Town at in that left back position. Yeah,
no, I completely agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I just don't know if the partnership really works with O'Shea for whatever reason. I I think it's more that just obviously Kipri is kind of on form at the moment and is just a better partner for O'Shea. And obviously we haven't really got a right centre half to, take O'Shea out of the team at the moment, really.
No, agreed. And yesterday, for a centre half playing left back, again coming down that wing, you didn't miss a beat in terms of ability down the left side or being able to create. I thought he was really good. Any likes or dislikes we have not covered yet, Mr. Tuxford, for you?
Well, I mean, briefly covered it earlier, but Ageli, as I say, I thought if you keep playing him, he's gonna show something. I think because he's a special player, and I think he's one of them again where he just gets the basics right. He just puts the ball in the box. I think some of the issue yesterday was we weren't actually filling up the box all that much for me, or not quickly enough anyway. When those balls were going in, so yeah, I thought Ageli had a good game. I would say Johnson had a good game last night. I thought he was all right. For me at the start of the game, I was more thinking that Ashley Young should be playing there because he's played there for Everton before, and is more of a sort of recognised left back. But I thought Johnson did well. I'm not his biggest fan at all, so I thought he had a very good game. And I think those would probably be the kind of likes for me, and then dislike really for me is just the 10 position and Nunes not starting.
And many would agree with you. I tell you, a dislike for me: tempo and urgency.
Yeah.
Right. When Paul Lambert's asthmatic snow appears and Town make 855 million passes, we don't look half as threatening or dangerous as we do when we suddenly decide to get it down on the ground and zip it and move it with some real pace and tempo and urgency. There's times in that first half, particularly, where we were, and I get the need to be patient and have a patient build up and be methodical with it. But there's got to be a time where you switch from we've done patient to now we need to move it quicker, and we need to move them quicker, because times in that first half where the asthmatics now appeared and it was going nowhere, but then we really turned it on for 5-10 minutes and zipped it with some real dangerous capabilities, and we look a different side. So for me, Matt, Tux, dislike tempo, urgency. It's got to be so much better at so much more often, Matt, Tux. It really has.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. Another dislike of mine was actually the referee. Why did he not send Barr off for the foul on Furlong? That was a blatant second yellow. I'm not asking for players to be sent off, but if he'd not been on a yellow card, that would have been a yellow. It was a really reckless challenge. I'm not saying Ipswich would have gone on and won the game, but to the letter of the law, that should have been a yellow. And this one's neither a like or dislike, just an observation. Once again, McAteer gets no game time. Spent 12 million plus on this kid. I mean, and then as someone rightly says there, we need Burns, but Trevor says Burns coming back soon. Yep. Is that going to push McAteer down? Will Burns go out on loan in January to get fitness? Who knows? That's money we could have spent on replacing Delap for me at the moment. And again, that's a question for McKenna. Why have you spent 12 million plus on a kid that's sitting on the bench?
I agree with you, Matt. I think for me, that money doesn't actually go anywhere near the striker. For me, that's more giving back up to someone like Matissua. That's getting another centre half in the right sided position. And with the McAteer money, you can fill two important roles in that area, and also probably a 10, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so, I totally agree.
Really,
I mean, McAteer's already in Ogbenny territory now, isn't he? I mean, Ogbenny's not even in a Town shirt anymore. He's playing for Sheffield United. And
Ogbenny won't play for us again, for me. I think he always needed a loan, but what I don't understand is why we signed McAteer in the first place when we always thought we were going to get Ageli, and Burns is going to come back at some point. He'll probably go out on loan as well. But the point being is we've got players already in the building that can play a right position, i.e. a Clark, a Philogene or someone like that. So for me, McAteer was a very strange signing.
Particularly when you think about you had Ogbene in the building already, having spent £10 million last season, and you arguably could have just kept him around the squad, built his fitness back up to see what you had in that original £10 million investment. You didn't need to go and effectively spend £22 million on two players for what Matt just said there, which is 0 minutes in. And he'll probably play on Saturday. It's away from home, and he may want to go with the more defensive style right winger. But it is an interesting one. As Rob says, $8 million on Bennett to loan him out and spend 20 on McAteer to not play. 20 million for what? We are live tomorrow, 7:30 for a match preview. Swansea, do join us then. Go on, Matt. try to jump in before you?
I was going to say, I can't at the moment. I mean, that would make. We've said that before, haven't we? We keep thinking that McKenna will turn to McAteer as more of a defensive option, but then you look at Eagly away at QPR and he makes the 2 goals. So I mean, it would be another Nunes situation where we're going, why weren't he playing?
Yeah.
If Eagly was to come out the side for McAteer, and you don't get that attacking, you don't get
consistency, guys. It's what it really is to me. It's more. Maybe I'm sounding a bit old-fashioned with this, but I think you've got to play players to ultimately get that connection going, really. And I think if you keep chopping and changing it for, albeit trying to match up to the opposition and stuff like that, and I get that, but cause them a bit of a worry of what we're going to do with our best players on the field.
Back in my day, bro, is that you might as well start the sentence with that. Back in my day. I tell you what, I got a dislike, which wasn't part of my original likes or dislikes. But earlier in the show, you both said propaganda. It's message, boys. All right. That was one of my dislikes. I wrote it down here. Dislike. It's not propaganda. All right. It's message. It's a message. All right. Just make sure you get the terminology correct. All right. NS says, we have seen this. So I want to make sure it's known. I didn't, I pulled you up on it. NS, we have seen this since the takeover. Players don't get played for a while. Then they come back better. Think Burgess. You can add Connor Chaplin to that list now as well, NS. McAteer is an investment, part of the player trading model.
I'm not sure I agree with that on McAteer. I mean, if you was to sell McAteer in a couple of years or whatever, are you getting a return on investment there? I mean, Amari Hutchinson's your player trading model. Ditto Leif Davis, Eagly. I mean, if he keeps turning heads like he is and being the next Amari, he'll go for double the money we bought him in. I can't see McAteer going for double the money we bought him in. We don't even play for one thing.
Exactly what I was going to say. If it wasn't an hour into the show, we'd probably have a bit more of a debate on it. I want to finish with the voice messages and I'll get your 2 thoughts afterwards. But here are this week's voice messages.
Delia Smith, Stephen Fry, Alan Partridge, Simon Thomas, Ed Balls, Agent Manning, Jake Humphreys, Chris Sutton. Your team is taking a hell of a beating.
Yeah, David, Australia. Despite the 3:45 a.m. start, I sort of remain quite positive about that result. Watford weren't a bad team. They beat Middlesbrough 3-0. They had some good quality players in there. Having said that, we could have put them away easily on another day. But I think generally we're starting to click, and there's good signs there. So I don't think it's 3 points dropped at all. I think you've got to have the 3 points. You've got to have something to drop it. So I think everything's looking positive. I don't know why Nunes didn't start. I mean, we've had issues in that number 10, and we finally find something that works, and he doesn't start it. I mean, it's there's rotation, and then there's sort of questionable. Yeah. Anyway. In McKenna we trust, and on we go to Swansea for 3 points and a decent week. Up the town.
That was David, 3:45 start. David, I absolutely love getting your voice messages from the other side of the world. Appreciate you so much for doing it. And he almost started to question McKenna then, Matt, and then he caught himself. He was like, but then McKenna we trust. It's fine. It made me laugh.
Well, yeah, he's always, exactly that. I mean, McKenna's always seems to have this money in the bank, doesn't he? But we'll see. I mean, on the Sky commentary last night, they kept sort of referencing him going to Celtic. That seems to have died down a little bit now, doesn't it? I think, who knows? As the eternal question, Tux, if McKenna was to go, who comes in? I really can't think of too many people.
No.
Well, Liam Manning might be available.
Well, they're losing 1-0 at the moment with an hour gone.
Yeah, and on Norwich, the first voice message there, that was, I think it was AD Croucher picking up the baton that Lee Anderson laid down on the Sunday show when Lee sort of wanted that type of voice messages and funny ones. And I've listened to it a million and one times, Tux. And okay, that's a massive exaggeration, but I've listened to it enough times. The Simon Thomas inclusion still catches me by surprise every time I hear it. Yeah. Wasn't a name I was expecting to be sort of just, put in there. It still isn't.
Jeff Stenning's replacement on Sky Sports.
Yeah, I've got quite a bit of love for Simon Thomas. Watching him on Blue Peter as a kid.
That's how I still see him. The Blue Peter presenter. So when I hear it back, I keep hearing and Simon Thomas. I'm thinking, what's Simon Thomas got to do with it?
Well, if you watch Soccer Saturday, he is when he is quite professional, to be fair to him, when Norwich do pop up. Like, I know Jeff Stelling used to sort of cheer and, you know, do whatever when Hartlepool scored, but he's actually quite professional. So I will
Yeah, but
give
Norwich
him
aren't
that.
scoring tucks, so we don't know
Well,
what
there
he
is
might
that.
be
Yeah,
like, to be fair
yeah.
to him.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
Like, Norwich has got to do something of celebration worthy.
Yeah,
for him
they
to-
can still celebrate.
Do you know what I mean? And to be fair, you know, Hartlepool. I don't know, where are Hartlepool? What division are they in now? Where I was going to say
League Two or National League, innit? I can't remember
I
now.
think they're National League now. I think they
Twin
are.
Miller's old club, obviously.
I can only presume Simon Thomas is now distancing himself for anything that's yellow and green.
Mm.
So it's the right thing to do, isn't it? Currently.
Yeah, absolutely. Trevor says Simon Thomas made a comment about Nunez Saturday sarcastically. Well, in that case, I take it all back. I take it all back. No, anyway, we're done. Thank you so much. Get your voice message in. Funny, serious question. Whether you want to shout down the phone to somebody, whether you want to scream, sing Nunez's name, anybody's name, whatever it might be. Leave it all with us. The weekly therapy for the diehard fan. Talking Town's voice message service. It's free. You leave no details. So you don't even need to say who you are. David says who he was in his message, but you don't need to. And if it's not in the message, I won't say who it is. Or try not to anyway. Can't promise that, actually. Take it back in case I do. But we are done. Like and subscribe. We're back tomorrow, 7:30 for a match preview. We'll rate down Swansea and look ahead and say, how many changes will McKenna make on Saturday? He could even take the team out of this Talking Town mug. We can get on the merch store and he can pull them out one by one, like Rod Stewart in the cup draw, guys. You just McAteer. Oh, we've got Button in goal. You never know.
It'd be good content if they filmed it. Absolutely.
No, I don't want to watch that. I don't. No. I don't want to watch that. Anyway, we're done. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget Stowmarket Osteopaths, quality care in Stowmarket since 1985 for Stowmarket services. No. For osteopath and physiotherapy services in Stowmarket. They're the right words in the right order at that time. Give Freddie a call on 01449613633. Tell him the Gov at Talking Town has sent you. But don't book with Freddie, because otherwise I can never get in with Freddie. So book with somebody else when you phone. All right? Leave Freddie's diary to me. I need that space. But give it a call. 01449613633. Anyway, we're done. Take care. God bless. All the best. You've reached the end. Thank you so much for watching. Hit here to subscribe. It's totally free. And hit here for more Talking Town videos. I'll see you on the next one.